And we're live to review yet another fascinating day's play in this Border Gavaskar Trophy. Of course, the second test from Delhi, day one. And we're going to be talking about it for the next 25 minutes or half an hour. So get your comments in and your questions and get involved because this is your space as much as it is ours. My name's Avnish Hegde and I'm going to be joined in by some fantastic minds in just a bit. But let me just summarize what's happened out there at Feroza Kotla. Australia winning the toss once again. I don't know what it is with Pat Cummins and tosses, but he's I think won 10 out of his last 11, if my memory and math serves me right. But nonetheless, they got to 263. And at time, they were 91 for 1 before Ravichandran Ashwin yet again changed the game by getting Labuschagne and Smith out in a quick fashion. And then not to forget, it was innings such as you see as Khwaja's 81 and then Hanscom, of course, 72 unbeaten. But India would be pleased with 263. And then, of course, ending at stumps 21 for none. So there's lots to, of course, talk about in this day one review with the boys. So let's get them on board one by one right now. And it's good to see Crazy Nick, Bishan Jaswant, and Anirudh Suresh. Shorak, if you could just probably get all of them on screen, it'll be fantastic right now to understand what they made of it. Nix is dressed in yellow, but by no means he's an Australian fan. The Australian fan is the man that you can see with a funky haircut of sorts, Anirudh Suresh. Anirudh, I'll start with you. I mean, was Khwaja's wicket the turning point? Because they say catches win matches. Rahul took that catch, and then it seemed like the game was slipping away from Australia, even though they kind of came back well after losing, Travis Head for 109 for 4 at that point in time?
Yeah. So I think there were the biggest turning point obviously was Ashwin getting Smith and Labuschagne in the same over. I mean, Australia were 91 for 1 and then from there it just became 91 for 3 in no time. So I think when they were 91 for 1, they would have ideally looked at 350, 300, something like that. But they had to settle for 260, which I think they would have taken when Travis had got out. I think Australia would have taken 260 when Travis had got out if he had offered it to them. But Khwaja would obviously be disappointed in not turning his 81 into a big century because, again, when Khwaja and Hanscom put together that stand, it felt like Australia were having slight control of the match for the first time in the series, probably. But again, a reverse sweep and then that brilliant catch from KL. But still, I feel the big difference between the last test and this test is the application shown by the lower order in particular, because we saw Australia lost their last 4 wickets for like nothing in the first test in both innings. But today, even though they were like 160 for 6 at one point, the last 4 wickets added nearly 100 runs, Cummins scoring 30 odd. So I feel given how the pitch is playing, how it's kicking up off the surface, it's bound to assist Nathan Lyon more because he relies on bounce. And given Australia have an extra spinner who turns the ball away from the right-hander as well, I think all in all, Australia would not be too unhappy with what the situation is right now. I'm not saying they will be happy, but I think this is not a bad situation for Australia to be in right now.
Next, I'll ask you about India in just a bit, but Bish, talk to me about Australia's team selection today. I don't know when was the last time they played just a single pacer. I mean, these guys are telling me that it happened in Bangladesh when I think Cummins again was just the sole pacer. Plus, they had Mitchell Marsh who could, of course, bowl slightly quicker than the rest of the bowlers. But what's their thinking with Kudaman, Todd Murphy, and Nathan Lyon, and the fact that they left out Ranshaw, they kept Warner, all those kind of thinkings before this game? Talk to me about Australia's tactics going into this test, Bish.
Honestly, it's not simple to understand, and I don't think they got the selection right. Because, I mean, as I always say, you have to play your best bowlers, and I don't think having Stark possibly fit and sitting out Boland, who bowled really well in the last test, who I would say was their best bowler in the last test, sitting out is ideal. And I somewhat understand it because Todd Murphy debuted and had a great debut, so it's hard to drop him. But these are the kind of situations when you have to take that tough call and maybe drop a player like that, because clearly what Australia wanted was to have a bowler who can take the ball away from right-handed batsmen, right? Because India have a whole host of them, whether it's Kohli, Pujara, Rohit, all the top batsmen, India's top batsmen are right-handed, and you want to have that option. So I get why they brought in a spinner, but because they didn't want to drop Todd Murphy, it means they had to bring that spinner in at the cost of a pacer, right? Which in my opinion has messed up their team selection because of their keen intent to back the person they gave a debut to who had performed. I mean, you can't say that it's wrong because you have to encourage players like that. But in this situation, I think that pushed them into a bit of a corner and forced them into a decision that they didn't want to make.
Hmm. Next, we'll just take Nitin's comment right now, which is pretty much my question in one way or the other. Who'd be the happier team right now? Will it be India? Because again, it could be deja vu of what happened in Nagpur. And do you think the game will meander that way, like how we did see it in Jamta?
I think definitely Australia will be the happier side. I do feel that Khwaja had incredible amount of luck to begin with. There were plenty of reverse sweeps inside edges that could have easily gone down to the stumps. He could have been out for 18, but he got 81. So he made the most. See, it was very evident that they did not want to just defend, and it was very
Yeah.
clear with the way that they were playing spin that they will use the sweep and the reverse sweep. And ironically, he got out to a very good catch off a reverse sweep. So I think that definitely was a very key point for them. But something that I also read, I think Australia will rue the losing wickets in bunches again. Something that we discussed in the first test that they were 91 for one, they became 91 for three, then they were 104, 108 for four, and then again at 160 they lost two wickets back to back. Then again at 227 they lost two wickets back to back. Now these are the decks where when you get in, you have to make them count very big because in subcontinent it is the first innings that is often going to decide, are you going to play catch up or are you going to be in a position to dictate the game going forward? So I think that is what Australia will miss. Of course, they will happily always take 263, but I feel it could have been much more. I don't think India were. I'll say the paces were a bit unlucky. I think Siraj bowled an excellent first spell. Was beating the bat, beating them on the pull, hitting them on the shoulder on the short ball as well. But unlucky to not take wickets. Shami got his length right, but I think Aksar and Jadeja both had reasonably off days to say. Ashwin was looking very good when he took those first few wickets, and it is only later in the day when India sort of had a discipline once Khwaja got out that they were able to come back. So I think India will be okay. That it could have got lot worse. Australia will take the score, but I think enough for both the teams to take care of going forward.
Yeah, I mean, the last two balls of the day, we saw how KL Rahul had to kind of really concentrate to keep them out. And luckily, from an India perspective, they're none down at stumps. We'll take a couple of comments coming through. Keep them coming through. We'll, of course, intermingle them in terms of our analysis of this post-day's play. Earth is best saying Stark should be in the team. Babu Rao going on to say 263 was looking a below par score, but after watching the last over, that thought has changed. And Sami Santosh, good to see you as well, saying thoughts on the Australian team selection as compared to the Indian team selection. Just the one change for India with the inevitable bouncing back of Shreyas Iyer into the team. Bish, from an Indian perspective, yes, they lost the toss. Yes, they had their backs against the wall in that first session when Australia were 91 for 1. But they again invariably find themselves to pull things back through Ashwin, through Jadeja. I mean, yet again, India kind of spoiled to have these two because it makes it look like they're so dominant at home.
No doubt, no doubt. I have to say though, I don't agree with Nick. I agree with everything Nick said, except that Australia should be happy with that score. I really think when you win the toss,
I'm not saying they should be happy. Given what has transpired, they would take this score. So they will want 500 if they want to, but practically it's not possible to get there.
Yeah, but I would actually go so far as to say India should be the happier team at the end of the day's play, and Australia should be disappointed because when you win the toss in India on conditions that are going to keep getting worse, you really have to make the most of that first innings, right? And you want to make a score in the first innings, which will almost certainly be the best score in that test match. I don't think 263 is going to be the best score in this test match. By the end of the day's play, sure, the pitch looked like it was playing a few tricks, but I think when you see tomorrow morning, once the rollers implemented and for the first couple of hours, it won't be a very tough pitch to bat on. It'll be like how it was for most of the day today, right? And I would expect India to be able to get a lead. I don't want to say this and jinx it, but you would expect India to take a lead here. And the positive for Australia here was that two of their batsmen made 50s and got in and showed some, the ability to play in these conditions, which no one got to 50 in the last game. So that's a big positive. But despite two batsmen scoring by themselves 160 odd runs, if you only made 260, I think you've done quite poorly as a team. And this despite India's bowlers not even being at their best. So I really think in the overall India should be quite happy with how the day is panned out. It puts them in a position to take a 100-run lead and make the most of this test match. I mean, I don't know as the game goes along, we may see that this is not a 350-run pitch, but at this point of time, India should hope to make that 350-run score and put that 100-run lead. So I'd be quite happy as in Indian side, Indian captain at this point.
It makes me ask Anirudh next in terms of what we saw in Nagpur, right, where Australia, 177 compared to India's 400. Do you think, again, the first innings will be dictated? 263 is all right, given the fact that we saw some evidence of the pitch kind of deteriorating already. But in the Aussie camp, you're still kind of not really confident, are you, Anirudh?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the 260 after winning the toss and batting first, especially after being 91 for 1, is not ideal at all. But like I said, I think this pitch looks like it's probably favoring the Australian bowlers more than Nagpur, because we saw a lot of ball kick up off the surface, keep low, and also because they have the extra spinner now. And not to forget, they have two extra spinners. Travis Head is also there. If on wickets like these, Travis Head will be really useful. He'll just throw the ball wide outside off, and if hits a crack or something, it can just test the inside edge of the right handers. So yeah, I mean, I feel Australia are not out of the game like they were in Nagpur completely after the first day. They are probably, because they've added 90 extra runs and they've still kept India under check in the 8 or 9 overs they bowled. Probably Australia is still in the game. We can probably say who is clear favorites after what happens tomorrow, because anything over 300, I think India are winning it comfortably. For Australia to even compete in this match, I think they need to bowl India out under 250. I think that is the only chance Australia have. And given the evidence so far, I think there is a 20 to 30% chance that could happen. But then again, we have to keep in mind that India is stronger than what they were in the last match due to the introduction of Shreyas Iyer. So yeah, and the crucial man for Australia will be Lyon. I'm not saying he's the go-to man, because he bowled so poorly in the first test. If he bowls again the same way in this test, India will win. There's no doubt. Matthew Kuhneman showed really good signs in the 4-5 overs he bowled. He was probably much better than what Lyon was in the entire Nagpur test. And I think, and just to reply to what Bishan was saying, if I had to drop one bowler, it would have been Nathan Lyon, not Todd Murphy. But yeah, ideally Australia might have wanted one more batter, I think, especially against India, because they don't bat deep. But yeah, it's going to be
basically drop Warner and get Stark.
No, why not? But I'll say this. I think if Nathan Lyon does not make an impact in this test, I can't see him play the next test. I'll say this.
Okay. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how Australia operate tomorrow morning, especially because one of the comments saying, Pranav Anand, in fact, going on to say, Australia will miss two pacers tomorrow morning with a bit of colder conditions and the effect of rollers showing. Others going on to ask similar lines, Nick. Can you put a finger on it? I mean, what Andrew McDonald and the Australian team are thinking today? Were they kind of getting carried away with what they've seen so far and historical evidence that it's going to be spinning it to winning it sort of thing? I mean, I know they fly Qantas, but what's with KLM? Kuhneman, Lyon, and Murphy. Flight joke.
Yeah, that's I'll give it a miss. I think Bishan rightly pointed out the logic behind why they wanted to go for those. They expected Delhi to be low and slow, and they felt that it is better to get people, because they knew it is good more. If you want to err, they were like, we'd rather err on the side of having an extra spinner than having an extra bowler, an extra pacer. So that is that was the logic there. And they were like okay to compromise that. I do feel it is very tempting to play somebody like a Stark, because he also had enough batting value lowered on the order, and India are known to give runs to somebody for sure as a given once they have 6-7 down. It happened today also.
Ghost
so I
of
think
Sam Curran still haunt us.
Yeah, it'll only stop the day you win a WTC final or something like that. So till the time we'll wait. But as Bishan said, the temptation was always going to be there. As Anirudh also rightly said, you would probably want to give Lion one more game. Again, it's a very big call to say that after one test you'd not want to drop Lion, Nathan. So Nathan had to play. Murphy had to play because he probably looked their best bowler up from after Scott Boland. So the only way out was to get a pacer out for a spinner. So I think they will definitely miss the pacer, but it is what it is. I think tomorrow is going to be massive because we already saw a ball misbehave. Yes, the ruler will settle it down a bit. So I think if India can bat 3 sessions tomorrow, then this game is nicely set up for them.
Guys, we'll of course talk about day two in just a bit, but we'll take a couple of more comments here. I think this one's relating to day two. We'll speak about how Kohli and Pujara and the rest of the lads go on with their business. I'm hoping Kohli gets to some sort of score above 50 because it's just ghastly otherwise sitting here as a fan and hoping for things which is definitely not going to happen. Now, Anirudh Kasargod, who's our stats man, has of course jumped in the comments and said, the problem with Warner for Australia is that they aren't able to get the combination right. This pitch demanded another fast bowler, but they couldn't fit it. But it makes me ask a bigger question to Anirudh and, of course, Bish and Nix, you feel free to jump in too, about David Warner. I know he scored that 100, which is almost a consolation to keep him in the squad and buy a little bit more time in the test team. But is David Warner washed as a test match batsman? Dare I say, Anirudh?
Yeah, I don't know if he's washed as a test batsman, but he sure should not play the third test unless he scores a century in the second innings because, this is he's played like 16 innings now and he's averaging 20. And see, there were doubts surrounding Usman Khawaja's ability to play spin heading into this. In the last 1 year, he improved. And then people are questioning him after he played that poor shot of Ashwin. But you can see how much he showed signs of improvement in the way he batted against Jadeja and Ashwin after he rode his luck in the first 30 odd balls. And he looked very settled, and eventually he only got out after playing, taking a risk. Warner has never played an innings like this probably in his career ever in India. And that's the problem. You can't keep picking someone on reputation when he's hopeless. His defense is hopeless. He somehow can't bring his attacking game, and even Travis Head looked better than Warner. And Travis Head has an atrocious record in Asia, and he was dropped for the first test because they thought he was so poor in the nets, and his record doesn't back warrant selection. And Warner looked so bad and throughout this 3 innings. So unless he plays a match-winning knock in the second innings, I would not pick him for the third test, and I'd see a straight swap. Warner out, Cameron Green in, and probably get someone else to open the innings, probably Head or Labuschagne. But unless and until Warner scores a century, he should not be playing the third test, and he has no value whatsoever in these conditions, away from home especially. I personally have the opinion that Warner should not play tests, full stop, but a big no-no to away test especially.
Anirudh is going to dump Warner, Lyon. There won't be a team left very soon.
Bish, do you echo those thoughts? It sounds a touch harsh, but the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt that Warner in India has been atrocious, and I don't think that's overstating it. And I agree with Anirudh. I think he has one test to perform. I think both teams have one opener each who have one test each to perform. You could well not see KL Rahul and Warner in the next. I think there's a fairly good chance of that. I agree with the fact that you can replace Warne with Cameron Green, but that is subject to Cameron Green's fitness. I think they're still struggling with that. If Cameron Green is fit, he adds a whole lot of value to that Australian team because of the fact that he can bowl at 140 clicks as well. And he would easily have been playing in this team ahead of maybe for this test match, Travis Head, to give them their fifth bowling option, and he's probably as good a batsman as Travis Head in these conditions. So, despite Travis Head's otherwise good form, his performance against spin hasn't been so great. So, yeah, I agree with that.
Next, I'm not going to ask you about Warner. I'm going to be asking you about day two because it's about India and trying to get that first innings lead, like you were hinting earlier. Babu Rao suggests, pretty sure Kohli will get a low right in front of the off stump and will get another meme reaction from him. Babu Rao I want to find you, man, and then probably educate you about Virat Kohli's batting right now. But jokes apart, though, Knicks, people like Kohli, and of course, it's an important one for Pujara, and he got that 100 against Bangladesh and all of that, but no home test run for Pujara in a while. Kohli hasn't got good test runs. Is this an opportunity for them to at least cement their place a little bit further on the side before the questions start getting asked?
I think the pressure is already there. There have been enough instances in the past as well where the all-rounders have saved the side from atrocious. I mean, Bangladesh could have been a very good eye opener or whatever you want to call it, but Shreyas saved India there, and I think it's why the pressure is there. The pressure will be obviously more on Pujara and Kohli for the way they've handled spin so far. Very refreshing to see the way Rohit is batted. Even today, whenever even he came down, he was showing the full face of the bat and able to keep the ball down. Of course, the one or two will misbehave and they'll catch your edges, but you'll have to find a way to score. Pujaran, whatever little we saw of him in the first test, he was happy to play his shots. Kohli looked good for a very brief while, but both of them will be tested a lot more tomorrow. And yeah, I do see a grubber from Kunaman trapping someone. I hope it is not Vicky, or if it does, it's after he's got past a 50-60. But they need those runs because it is not going to get easier. Because, see, let's put it very honestly, India can smash Australia 4-0, but if they play the WCT final, there, everybody there, they will play 6 pacers. Everybody will swing the ball miles. So you are again going to need your top order to be in good shape and form and scoring runs. So I think that is very important because you can't again go back to say that Iyer, Ashwin, Jadeja, Aksar, please save me. So I think it is very, very important for these three, KL, Pujara, and Rohit, and Virat to get a good score.
Who's a big fish then, Bish? Because me and Anirudh in the office, they were having some tongue in cheek as always, and he was like, "Would you take it if India are 180 all out, but it's a Kohli 120 not out?" And I was like, maybe I'd like to see that. I'm sure lots of people across the country would like to see that as well. But jokes apart, though, is it Rohit who's going to be holding the key once again because we saw what he did in Nagpur? Is it someone like Shreyas Iyer who has been playing some gems in Test match cricket? I can recollect that New Zealand one in Kanpur, was it, where he got 100? Who is it going to be crucial for India on day 2, according to you, Bish?
See, I think easily in this Indian batting lineup, the best player of spin is Shreyas. Right? Rohit had a good first match. He played spin beautifully, but I'm saying over a longer period of time, I would say that Shreyas is our best player of spin. Shreyas does tend to get carried away because he also knows he's a great player of spin and tends to get out playing big shots sometimes because he's so confident. But in conditions that are challenging like this, I would expect Shreyas to hold it together and score the run. So he's probably going to be the toughest player to get out. Even if not the biggest name that will worry the Aussies, right? In terms of that, I would say it's Rohit. Rohit is the man in form. He is playing spin well. And after Shreyas, probably the next best player of spin in this team. So Rohit's performance is key. Just for the morale of the team, being captain and the guy who scored the 100, you would hope that he doesn't get out early tomorrow, just to calm the nerves and, make sure we get to a 250 plus kind of score. So, yeah, if we were on your first question, if we were, let's say 6 months ago, I would have been a little bit more desperate for Kohli's form and I'd have said I'll take the 180 all out for a 120 not out. But now Kohli's back. He scored some of those old Kohli knocks, and I'm not so desperate at this point, and so I'm not taking that 180 all out for a 120 not out.
Yeah, it's always the team which comes first over the individual, and I, of course, believe in that. As much as all you guys say, Kohli fan, and all of that. Anirudh Kasagod pouring some insights as well in the comments, just to give us an update, saying that India have opted for the light roller, not the right roller, but the light roller, which means that the pitch is not going to hold for a longer time. It makes me think about Australia's spin tire, which I asked you guys about. But how likely are we going to see Marnus Labuschagne bowl medium pace, Anirudh, or, for example, even Travis Head come into the game that much? Those fifth and sixth options are good for Australia, you reckon? Or is it just kind of filling in and shoehorning in then as we go along?
I think if Manas and Travis Head are bowling, it's probably bad news for Australia. It means that India have batted through 70, 80 overs without losing a lot of wickets. I think
they don't want
Labuschagne to be bowling any over.
That's
But
what's going to
I
happen.
mean, I would have probably given. I would have given Manas an over or two, the new ball, to see what he does. But then again, I can totally understand why they didn't do that. If India take 18 runs like what Rohit did of Cummins in the first test, then you're completely losing the momentum. So no, with Travis Head in the team now, I can't see Labuschagne bowling any overs. I think they will back the spinners to take all the workload, and I think they have enough spinners now in the 11 to get through the overs. That was not the case in the last match, where only the two frontline spinners were there. There was not even Travis Head who could fare as a third spinner, and Matt Renshaw bowled one very poor over. So that's there. So I think it will be like this. Probably Cummins will try to bowl one long spell where he reverses the ball, and it will be up to the spinners to take the wickets. So the first 30 minutes, in my opinion, will be very crucial. If India can not lose a wicket in the first 30 minutes, then that will be a big confidence booster. But for Australia to bounce back, or just give India a mini scare, they would ideally want a couple of wickets in the first hour, and one of those should be of Rohit Sharma, because if Rohit stays, I think Australia will know that India will somehow find a way to take the lead.
Yeah, I mean, Rohit showed his class in that Nagpur test, remember? Right, what else can you guys do in the cricket.com app? You guys can check out this Play the Odds feature, which is a brand new addition. You guys should check it out right now after this show, of course, because what it tells you and what it, of course, allows you to do is beat the machine and, of course, win lots of things in due course. Here's what I mean. Check out cricket.com's brand new feature on our app called Play the Odds. Test your cricket knowledge by making predictions on match events. Not just that, come back to check the results and see your earnings. Maintain your streak by playing on consecutive featured match days. If you think you can, of course, beat this, check out the rulebook to be assured by the formalities of this game. Anyway, check out this feature and we'll be back to the show right now. It's a good addition, that it really is, compared to all the other things that we have to offer on the cricket.com app. So, of course, download that. And a subscription would help of the YouTube channel as well. Before we go, gents, day 2 predictions, please. Some bold ones, out of the box ones, left field calls, all is allowed right now. We'll start with the man in yellow, Crick Crazy Nicks. What are we going for? Some crazy predictions, please.
310 for 6, end of day.
Okay, love it. Shorten app. Bish, you concur?
That's broadly what I was going for as well. A 70-run lead, roughly at the end of the day, with a couple of wickets in hand. Yeah.
Okay, Anirudh?
6-wicket haul for Matthew Kerman.
The devil's advocate that he always is. And Kohli to, of course, break that triple figure mark that we all want to see.
Just to add, if Kunam is taking 6, then Australia is getting all out tomorrow.
I was going to ask you how many sessions this test match is going to be, but I don't know. Maybe the answer lies within. Bish, Crazy Nicks, and Anirudh Suresh, thank you so much for your time. And guys, catch us tomorrow at the same time. Of course, there'll be so much more to talk about on day 2. Of course, if India get that lead, if it's 310 for 6, oh my God, I might change my name for that, because Crazy might be literally the soothsayer that we all need. Enough, my fluff. It's a goodbye from all of us. Have a fantastic weekend ahead. And who knows what lies in store on day 2 of the second test in the BGT. My name is Avnish Hegde. We'll see you guys soon. Subscribe and tell a friend. Cricket.com's here to stay.